Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedict and I'm feeling a little bit conflicted.
And I'm Benedicta. Today is February 17th. This is episode number 237, and I'm feeling creative.
Ooh, both C feelings.
Conflict. I feel like I am guessing you're conflicted on the same thing that is making me creative.
I
Are you
guess so,
conflicted
yeah.
around Sean Claude?
Yeah, I guess. Not necessarily Jean Claude specifically, but I yeah. This is going to be AI episode number 3, but let's not name it that. Let's come up with a better name this time.
No, let's name it
Uh,
that.
no, like we have AI episode number 2 already. Like I feel like that's enough. And also, I think it's not going away, so all of the episodes will be AI episodes in a
Yeah.
way.
But I think it becomes fun if we do number 3 because then it's like, and then we can stop. Well, you can decide that.
Whatever.
I'm
Yeah,
not that.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Anyways, I'm conflicted. Now, like I think we touched on this in early episodes already, but like I feel like it's gotten so easy to tackle new things that I notice I'm tackling new things all the time and not finishing them. So I have I feel like 5 or 6 projects running in parallel, and I'm not necessarily meaning like Claude is working on them in parallel, but like things I started but haven't wrapped up because they are so easy to start. Um, and now I'm like, on the one hand, it feels good to be like, yeah, like make some quick progress and get like to 80% super quick and then start the
Still
next
gotta
thing. So
finish.
there is this little, yeah, I'm noticing that I'm throwing balls into the air and now I'm having struggle. I struggle with catching them all coming down again, or like them just staying there and never going anywhere. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit. That's what makes me feel conflicted. That yeah, I need to figure out a new way to work, I guess, or remind myself what used to work over the last 20 years of doing this. Um, maybe yeah, just stop starting new stuff and just like finishing stuff I started.
I don't think you're the only one. Like, there's a lot of reports coming out now that people are getting burned out using AI for their job. And I think a lot of that has to do with it's so easy to getting started. And then you feel that, you feel you should be finishing everything. And then you just have ended up creating a lot more work for yourself. And you've already kind of probably overpromised or at least overpromised for yourself. And then it's also I find like highly addictive just like talking to Jean Claude and like coming up with ideas and like working and suddenly like 10 hours have gone by and I haven't like risen from my desk because it's just like there's one more thing. I think I wrote a blog post which was actually your quote I think, but like it's like no or I don't remember, but it's like eating potato chips. Like we were talking about it in the last episode, and I think I said it's like eating potato chips, like just one more prompt. Like, I'm just gonna have a little bit of this bag, and then suddenly you've eaten the whole bag. And it's so easy to be sucked into. And I think at
Yeah,
that point I was talking about when the AI stops kind of working and you're like, oh, let's just do another prompt and it will work. When we know like the good thing is to like give it a clean slate and like, verbalize the issue again and do proper debugging, not just try a little bit more. But I think it's also to what you're saying, it's so easy to just like start things. And we talked about that, like I felt like the big gain is that it helps you start, but now we're like, it's you're starting, we're starting too much, and I don't think we're the only ones. So today actually on no yesterday I created, say, in my personal OS thing that I've been setting up with Claude, I've created efforts. So it's like it could be a project or it could be, but like these like larger than a task things. And I took some inspiration from a framework, somebody called ACE, where it's like, okay, is it an active thing? Is it simmering? Is it sleeping? Like which, you can only have a certain amount of effort, up in the air at the same time being active. And yesterday I added like freezer or cool down or whatever. So I'm, I did a full like chat with Claude, writing out the specs for this ID, and then I put those specs in an effort that's in the freezer, and I'm not allowed to revisit it until like next week. And I think that's gonna be good. That's good approach. But I've always needed that, but like now I need it even more. But also I feel, and why I'm feeling so creative is that for me, like specking that out and like having that creative spur around this ID like feeds, that's like good energy, and not having to do all of them is totally fine. It's just like getting that idea out of your head and like expecting like, okay, I could do this, but I'm not doing it. But I still get that like creative juice from it that opens up new ideas for that are maybe more productive or more in line with what I'm doing. So yeah, I think in my notes, I'm like, why does this make me feel so more productive? I don't know. It's maybe because what I've realized after these podcast episodes is like, I need to talk things through, like verbalize it out loud, and like writing with this AI, it's kind of doing the same. So I feel like I kind of get my ideas out of my system and there's room for more in the way that I didn't do when I was like writing, because I was doing morning pages where you write in a kind of diary sort of, which is kind of the same premise, that if you kind of write down all your ideas and your crappy ideas, like better ideas will come. People who write music or books often have this practice where they like write, they do like the gray water first, and then you get the nice crisp water afterwards. But I haven't been able to kind of do that as well as I've seem to think other people do it. And I realized it's because I am I need that back and forth like talking. So now I get to do that, and like it unlocks, it removes that idea and a new idea can come. Like it gives that same same kind of flow of ideas. So I'm just like, but also highly addictive. So yes, Jean-Claude and I are in a relationship and it's complicated. Let's just exactly like you said, conflicted, but still at the end of the day, I am feeling very creative and it's giving me a lot of energy. Like I'm waking up earlier. They're like things I want to do. I've had a little bit of a slouch at the end of last year, and this has really propelled me back into like, I want to make products. I want to do this like coding thing, if it's, hand chiseling or getting help from AI, but like, yes, I am in the right place at the right time, I feel like, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But we need to, social media too was a lot of fun, and then it became a problem. So we need to find, like you said, ways of working with it. But yeah, I also think like giving yourself permission to start things and not finish will be needed in this kind of age where it's so easy to start. Like it's an exploration. It's not something that needs to be finished. And you could like maybe, and then just strike it off your list instead of like feeling like you have to catch all the balls you start in a way.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of true, but I also I feel like I need to be more mindful about what I start. Like just because it's easy to start doesn't necessarily mean you should. And
exactly,
I kind of hear you with like getting it out of your system. I think that's probably still a good idea, but then leave it at that, right? Like catalog it somewhere, write it down somewhere, and that's it. And that doesn't, you can maybe define it as not started yet, but at least out of your system. I think that's a fair idea. But like, I started over the last couple of weeks, I started so many things that I have been thinking about for a long while and never got into because I knew it's going to be a big effort. And AI helped, but as I said, like none of them are done because there's still a big effort and the devil's in the details. And just because you got like 80% there doesn't mean you can ship it. And figuring out the last 20% takes 80% of the time, and that's still true. So yeah, but I guess it's a thing I have to relearn in a way, and like be more careful about where I sink my time in. Because what you said, like about this being addictive, I can totally relate to this. For the last couple of weeks, I always felt like super productive, or like, do I want to say productive? At least super busy. I felt super
Mm-hmm.
busy, and time flew by super fast. There were times where I forgot to take a lunch break, didn't drink any water the entire day, only to realize, oh, it's 6 p.m. I should probably start thinking about dinner. And my to-do list of stuff I need to take care of is currently 10 items that have been sitting there for the last couple of weeks. And every day I'm like, I could tackle some of those today, but then I start working on one of those fun projects, and whoops, the day's gone and I didn't do them.
Yep.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's stuff like reviewing the tax returns and stuff like that that should be done. And honestly, I don't trust AI yet to do it for me. So, I mean, also, like, I'm paying my accountant to do them. I
Mm-hmm.
hope they're okay, but I need to double check that the numbers line up and stuff like that. And if I let AI do it, then I have to recheck the AI work, I guess. So, well, whatever. I just need to prioritize it, I guess, and do it, and not get sucked into the next new thing with Claude.
Yeah, so but the most fun thing I did is that I did like right after our last conversation was that I pulled in the transcript from 22 the 22 last episodes of Slow and Steady.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like this is a good chunk of me. Like I've been talking about
Right.
my life on this podcast for a long time, and I know I have a hard time remembering the good things I've done, and I know I have these patterns that I kind of, because I know I'm very cyclical. Like I will get very excited. Like now I'm very excited about AI. I can sense the crash coming. I know it's coming. Like I will be less excited, and maybe like even have a week where I just don't touch it at all. Well, that's probably not true, but where I'm not like in this frenzy. And yeah, so I pulled down all of those, and I did like different tests, and one was like give me patterns. Like, could you look through, like, see what happens? And like immediately it was like, yeah, you have periods of 3 to 4 months. They start with like excitement and frenzy. You get to some point where you learn something, and then he was very nice, of course, and he was like, it crystallizes, and then you like execute. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really true. Like sometimes I just crash and nothing happens. So now in my like personal OS at the beginning of the day, like it will actually say like, okay, you're 4 weeks into this, like maybe you want to wrap some of the things up,
Mm-hmm.
because like it's seen that like if I go too long, I will just like take in, learn, but I won't. And I will like have these maybe crystallization moments about ideas or things I've learned, but then it won't always have the energy to execute on them. So I found that pretty, like, I knew these things, they're not new, but like having that little like help being like, but are you going to ship some blog posts about AI? Are you going to are you going to do that version 2 of the MCP so you can use your learnings? Like it will like prompt me with those kinds of things, which I think is kind of cool and can be beneficial. And the other thing I did was that I never liked my writing, because when I write, I become like an academic, or not even an academic. Like it takes a lot of my personality out. It might have to be with me being dyslexic. Like all of my essays and everything came back like with red pen all over them. It like feels like this. I don't know. It's just like I've written a lot, especially around the Gatsby thing, but I was very like tutorial like. But if I'm gonna like write about my opinions or my thoughts, like I end up second guessing myself, and I don't really write the way I feel like I should convey ideas. So I had Klon train on all of these transcripts and create a queen tone of voice that I can, as a skill that I can use to look through things that I write and like have it nudge me to be more the way I speak. And that was like mind blowing because it just it kind of trained, and then it gave me an example blog post that it had written, and it was a fake blog post. Like, you know, the content was nothing I had experienced, but I was like, this sounds like me. This is scary. Like, this sounds more like me than my writing has ever done. And then I had to go through all the podcast episodes and pull out ideas and thoughts and concepts that I have opinions with, and like put them into a JSON array that I can look through for blog post ideas. And that's been like the other thing that what I've realized, you know, I need to verbalize my thoughts and talk things through. But I often forget that I actually have insights about things and have had them, like the MCP server. Like, I did MCP servers like before we went to Istanbul, right? But now I'm like, oh, I know nothing about AI. And it's like, you know. And then being able, because it will also then, it pulls out all the ideas and then it links back to where we talked about it. So the blog posts I've been writing now, 2 of them, one where I wrote a lot and the other where AI wrote a lot. But in both of them, there are quotes and links to exactly where we talk about it, which I make it more like authentic in this age of like AI. Like, okay, maybe AI helps me do this, but like it points to where I was actually talking about it, and it takes quotes that are verbatim what I said or you said. And I was like, this is a fun way for me to write about my ideas and like and actually kind of, and then it will also ask me questions like, but something is missing here. Like, when did you have this epiphany, or like what happened? And I'm like, oh, it was actually, you know, in that room at MicroConf where the guy said that you should just have AI write ASCII as the sketches for UI because it's so fast. It's much faster than having it write or like make images. And then it like I said, that's where I had that from. And then I remembered, and it makes the story much better than just being like, ASCII is a good way to, you know, talk to your AI. But I could be like, okay, I remember sitting in that room and I was like, this is pretty cool, but like, you know, how am I supposed to use AI? And now I just used it. I used that tip of ASCII. So yeah. But the next step, dear listener, is to have Jean-Claude extract all of our feelings all the way back as far as we can go.
This is one of the projects, right? Yeah.
And then I will have a little bit of a visualization happening about our feelings and how they fluctuate around the year, or if you can actually see my 3-month, 4-month pattern well in like the feelings. That could be fun. I mean, it's not useful, but that is a fun thing to do.
yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Like, that's been a thing that I wanted to do for basically forever.
Yeah. And it's like, is it worth it? But then again, like, what I like a little bit about like having Jean-Claude around and stuff, it's like, let's just do some of the fun, crazy stuff. Like, it will take less time than if we did it manually, and then it's like worth doing that fun thing. It like gives me permission to play a little bit and like not be so precious about the code, or precious like for this visualization, it doesn't have to be precious code. It just needs like visualize, and we can get some like images out of it, or people can go and play and look at it, but it doesn't have to, you know, be production ready, whatever. But I can have it just like do fun stuff. So I'm having a lot of fun with just doing fun stuff. But then let's not do that all the time. But like, why not do that instead of binging some bad Netflix series? You know, you gotta have some hobbies, right?
And you can have Claude do it and still watch the shitty Netflix series.
But yeah. Any other updates from your realm?
Yeah, so maybe following up to last week's episode, I shipped the MCP experiment. Basically, followed your advice, didn't overthink it, just merged it. Well, not just merged it. I did some work on it and then merged it, and got it into the hands of a couple friends. And right now it can basically write newsletters and look up your data schema, so it knows what placeholder values that are available and can use them in those emails. That resulted, and that was my suspicion from the beginning, that work resulted in realizing that we need more guardrails on the server side around this stuff. For example, sometimes it came up with structures for the documents of the emails that were invalid and then didn't properly render in the UI and had some server side issues. So one of the things I did since was adding more validation logic around them. So you cannot nest an image. Well, I guess you can nest an image into anything, but like you cannot nest text inside an image or have a paragraph or like a list item outside of a paragraph or something like that. Stuff that doesn't make sense. And with those guardrails in place, it's now pretty robust. And because of that, I extended it to creating segments. So you can ask it stuff like, show me everyone who did whatever. And it will look at are the events available, at the properties available, and then figure out the conditions based on that, which also works okay-ish, but then totally messes up our UI because so far the only way to do those conditions was through the UI, and therefore the combinations were like limited to what we're supporting. But
Yeah.
now there's some random dude in there that's like just making up on the fly, which technically will work on the server. But then if you load that thing in the UI was like, what? Like what? Like I don't know what to do with this. And in the best case, it just fails and just shows an error message or something. But like most of the time, it will render something that's not a correct representation of the underlying data structure, because the UI right now assumes that if it can't find stuff in the places where it expects it to, it assumes it's not there. But it might be there, but just in a different place. And then if it doesn't find anything, it will maybe use a fallback, and then you end up with situations where the rendered UI tells you A, but reality in the underlying code is B, and you're like, what? Like this doesn't make any sense. So I'm not exactly sure where to go from here with that. That's one of the things with like balls in the air and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately the solution has to be something where we are stricter in what we allow on the server side and just prevent certain combinations of things. But on the other side, it's probably also worth investing a little bit more in getting our UI more flexible and more robust to reacting to data structures that are not quite what it expects. But this will be a huge undertaking to get those two worlds work nicely together. But if we can pull it off eventually, I think it's going to be really cool, and allow for some nice speed ups for people's processes. So I think it's still worth exploring.
And I think in a way, like what we said, like get it out there and you got some feedback. Like that is, you are one step instead of like hypothetically thinking about what will break. Like you saw it break, and it will give you better ideas or better like insights into, okay, what do we need to fix before going full throttle with this, instead of like, yeah, hypothetically thinking about what will break.
I think the next thing I want to try is creating segments and stuff like that. I might just remove all of that again because of the problems with the conditions and stuff like that. But what I'm really looking forward to is like have a way to at least create simple workflows and figure out a way that where AI can just like set up version 1 for you. Because the other thing I've been experimenting with is we have this framework called Atomic Emails that Jane wrote a couple years ago that basically outlines the process of like, you're a SaaS founder, you have no emails or have emails that you don't like and want to do like write new onboarding campaigns, for example. And she figured out a process where you first do a research phase and go through all your assets on the website, all the blog posts, all the documentation, just collect the stuff that's potentially useful, and then follows it up with a storyboarding phase where you go through the research stuff and pick out the things that make more sense, and has a little bit of like a guide on what's good content, what isn't, and stuff like that. And then once that is done, there's a third step where it takes those snippets and combines them into actual emails. And what I tried a couple of weeks ago was converting that blog post into skills. And the first iteration, I just had Claude read the blog post and come up with the skills by itself. And that already worked surprisingly well. And I've since tested it with a couple of websites from friends and stuff like that. And while it's not perfect, like it's not, it hallucinates stuff, or it's like slightly inaccurate. It assumes you have a trial when you don't, and stuff like that, right? It at least gives you a set of emails that are not bad. Maybe not entirely correct, but like it gets you from nothing to something okay-ish within like 30 minutes or so. Like it's not super fast, but it gets you there relatively quickly. And it would be amazing if we had a way to just set them up in user list in the same go. Right now it's just like a couple of markdown files, but I can see a world where it just creates them in user list and then you add it from there. So I think that's something
you should. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's good to get that help to get started, because this is one of those things that move the needles in a company. If you have these emails in place, it is actually improves, everything, but you still don't do it because it's such a tedious task. But did you see Corey Haynes is doing like really well with his marketing skills? So he's created like this whole thing with skills. I downloaded them and been playing around with them. So I think like immediate or like a stepping stone for you guys is to create this as a skill in the same way that you've done with your email template, so that you can just install the skill without having the MCP be ready.
Yep.
Have you done that already?
I get pushed it earlier today. It's still marked as private, but that's where this is going. Just before this call, I was like we have the plugin set up on GitHub, but we still lack the marketplace, so you're able to install it. I would like before we started recording, I was working on that. So it's coming.
There's also the NPX install skill thing that Vercel has. So for the people with Cloud using Cloud Code more like in the terminal style, they can use that.
I need to look into that as well. Yeah. Is it Claude under hood as well?
If it's
Vercel stuff, is it Claude's thing as well? I'm not into this actually.
I think the NPX skill install or whatever that is called. We have that for Outset now. Pierre set it up. It will install it into whatever system you're on. So I think you could use it and like choose to install it for like Cursor or Claude or whatnot. But it instead of using the official marketplaces and having a plugin and stuff like that, you just NPX on them.
Okay.
In the terminal.
I need to look into this as well, I guess. I guess it just checks it out.
And then like just copies it into the .claude folder or the .cursor folder or all of the folders. Like, can they not just assign on an .ai folder? Like, why are we like copy pasting these files? And this is the thing now with AI, which is going to be like a major thing they need to solve. Is like when I install skills now, like, is it installed in my desktop global Claude settings? Is it installed in my Claude code, and or is it inside of my personal OS, or is it inside of this folder? It's like, I'm like typing very hard on my keyboard. I'm like, you have this skill. Please find it. And it was supposed to be
Yeah.
like self-discovery, and it like never finds some of the skills. And because I've been playing around so much, like it's it's gotten a little messy. So I need to go into the cleanup phase that Jean-Claude has been telling me that I will be arriving at in a week or two.
Right.
But update on my Jean-Claude talk that I'm having in 8 days. In don't tell the organizer, because I was like, I'm on route. Like I this will be done. It's fine. And it will be, because I know I will deliver. But
Last minute.
right before the week, but I need to use it, right? So that's what
Right.
I'm doing after this call. I'm going to dive fully into my Jean-Claude installation. I have it up on Hertzner, so it's in Europe, and it's on a VPS. And what took me the longest freaking time was to get that YAML thing set up correctly on my Jean-Claude, through the terminal, SSHing into this VPS in Nico, Pico, Nano, whatever the editor. Like, I am not a terminal user. And I was like, but I can use it well enough, but like it wouldn't get the right formatting. And then it just hit me, because I was sitting with, Jean-Claude, Claude Code open in another terminal, like helping me through this, because I get anxieties when I have to do server stuff. Like, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I just become like so anxious. I'm like, I'm certain I'm going to do everything wrong. And there's always so many choices. So I just give up. So I had like Jean-Claude hold my hand. I was like, what choice? I was screenshotting. What should I choose here? What does this mean? And Jean-Claude was holding my hand the whole way and actually keeping me on track, because one of the things with this is that I just get distracted. It's so freaking boring setting up a server. So I needed to have that like accountability buddy helping me through it, because I would have just given up. Like, if you give me more than 4 choices, or actually if you give me more than 2 choices, I will be out of there. So we were like working together, and then finally I was like, but Jean-Claude, why don't you SSH into my Jean-Claude and set that freaking YAML file up? And Jean-Claude was like, of course, I can do that. And I was like, oh my God, I've been spending 20 minutes trying to get this YAML file into a correct shape. Why did you not suggest this yourself? But so that is a super tip, is if you're setting up Jean-Claude or any other VPS, just get your Claude Code to SSH in and do all the configs for you, so you don't have to work through your Pico, Nico, Nano editor that is like shipping with the what Ubuntu server thing. So that's where I was at. So I got it all set up, and then you get this lovely little web site. I don't think you did that in the beginning. You had to set up either Telegram or WhatsApp or some kind of interface to talk to your OpenClaw. But now you get like a little dashboard with a chat window. And it was, I said hello, and then the OpenClaw bot wrote back and is like, this is going to be so much fun, something. And then it was like, who am I? Who are you? And I was like, I don't know.
Why do we exist? What is the meaning of life?
This was way too much at the end of my terminal or server anxious setup. So I just closed it all down. And then I had to have a chat with Jean-Claude about who am I, who are you? And we came up with because I had read somewhere that when you're setting up your OpenClaw, because it asks for this, because it has a soul file, which is different from all the other kind of AI agent. Like, you give it a soul, and I'd read that you could come up with like answer with a fictional character, so that it has like someone to emulate. So after talking to Jean-Claude a little bit, I came up with a crab from The Little Mermaid. Sebastian, I think, is his name, and he like it's a little bit of like a royal theme and things in this movie. So I was like, okay, my little helper is gonna be Sebastian, and he's a crab. He's not a lobster, but close. So that's what I'm doing after the show today. I'm gonna tell the OpenClaw who I am and who it is, and let's see if we can move forward.
I'm looking forward to hear how it's going. Yeah.
And it was just like, this is too much. So I made a little video on that. I've started OpenClaw Field Notes shorts. So if you want to see those, head on over to the Queen Ray. Yeah, Queen Ray on YouTube. You can see the shorts.
Cool.
Yeah.
Your server experiment reminds me of another thing I did last week. Yeah, last week. This week? No, I think last week. So maybe some of your listeners have heard that Heroku put out a statement that they're going into stable maintenance mode or whatever that was called, which if you're a Heroku customer, read a little bit like, oh my God, everything's going down the drain and everything. I think it wasn't. I think the consensus is that it wasn't very well worded. And after thinking about it for a while and talking to a couple of friends who are Heroku customers or even run add-ons on their marketplace, I think the consensus is something along the lines of it's just putting a label on what everyone has been aware of for the last couple of years.
Nothing new is happening. Nothing
it's
new.
It's just like a statement that acknowledges the situation. So
it might be because of AI, because people have probably started asking, like, where's your MCP? Like, where's your like admin CLI we can use? And where's your? And they're like, hold up. We're not doing any new features. So don't get your hopes up.
There have been AI initiatives, and I think most of the stuff that has been coming out of there recently over the last couple of months has been like, use our whatever thingy to run your agents, blah blah blah. I don't know, I didn't look into it because I didn't care. But I can only guess, but it sounds a little bit like internally they did not meet a bunch of the goals they had been given, and now someone pulled the plug. Which sure got me a little bit freaked out, but yeah, as I said, like probably nothing's going to change that much anytime soon. But that's what I was going to tell. I started looking into alternatives once again, and because of AI help, I felt confident to give AWS ECS Fargate a try. Oh, that's like fancy name, right? But it's essentially Amazon's container infrastructure thingy. And I had tried it a couple years ago, but it was super annoying to set up. But now with some AI help, I got pretty far pretty quickly with just like having Claude write Terraform config files and then running them, and it would spin up infrastructure on AWS. I had not to log into the horrible website UI thingy they have to configure stuff even once. And after, I think, a day or so, I had our application running on AWS ECS. And I'm not sure what to think of it. Like, in a way, it was good that I got that far so quickly, because I now know that if something at Heroku happens, we can relatively quickly move off of it. But there are still a couple of things that are super annoying to do, which are super easy on Heroku. Most importantly, Heroku has this concept of a release phase. So after it builds the container, it runs a command that you can use to run database migrations or stuff like that. And replicating a similar thing on ECS, it's like insane. It's just like in Heroku right now, when we deploy, or like actually we just get push, right? And then it gets deployed. At the end, it just runs rake db migrate, and if there are no migrations, then it doesn't do anything. It just like checks, is fine, and continues on. If I build a thing in ECS to do the same thing, it takes 3 minutes to figure out it doesn't have to do anything. And most of the times I don't get even the log output of it. And that is kind of shitty.
But it's cheap,
And
right?
it is cheap, but also why? Like, why does it have to be this complicated? Like, it's a super involved process to run this one command that Heroku just runs automatically when I git push.
There's a reason Heroku won the hearts of everyone at the time.
For I
Even I
mean,
had some things running on it because I could actually manage to set it up, which before AI was
yeah,
a big thing for me, that I managed to set up a server. Um,
and that's the other thing. Like all of those alternatives that I'm now trying, none of them have been around back then. Like Heroku pioneered them all. Like
mhm,
I guess most of them at least. Um, and that entire thing with like containers and Docker and la 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 la, that all of that did not exist when Heroku was released and came out. And it kind of blows my mind that even now, and sure, I have not tried all of them, but like even now, it feels like Heroku still has one of the best developer experiences out there, which is kind of wild. Um, and it kind of makes me sad that we cannot just like
have nice things.
stay there forever and be sure. Well, that's the thing, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be changing that much all the time, because sure, like if it solves the problem it's what it was built for, good. But honestly, the thing I'm worried about with all of this is that there will be like a gradual decline over time, where I don't know, the next outage or so will not get
Mhm,
resolved in an hour, but like in a day, and
mhm.
eventually it all goes down the drain.
Yeah,
Basically, that's my
because the,
worry.
the knowledge, like the institutional knowledge or like the architectural knowledge or whatever, like the knowledge about the
Yeah,
thing is going to be evaporate because the people aren't going to be working on it every day anymore. And
yeah, and eventually, like I think they'll also let a lot of people go, so I'm not
mhm,
exactly sure who's there and who isn't. Which, well, not that I know anyone there, but like I'm just worried that over time they will not know how to maintain this anymore,
mhm.
and that's yeah, that's sad. But yeah, we'll see. I guess I have to keep poking at
Seasons
ECS
of
or
tech.
whatever, and maybe figure out a good way. Maybe question to you listeners, like if you are running on ECS or another containerized thingy like Kubernetes or something like that, please let me know how you solve this migration issue, because right now I'm starting a new task and connecting to it and running the command and stuff like that, which works but is super clunky. AI suggests that we just run migrations on like on service boot. Like when the web server starts, first thing it does is runs the migrations,
Mhm.
which technically probably could work, but I'm not sure about, because what if the migrations take longer than a couple minutes? Then suddenly the web service process will be considered not booted and will we get killed, and I don't know, like there's a lot of
Mhm.
question marks around that. So
This
if
feels
you
like
have
it
any
should be a
experience,
solved problem. Like this should be a solved thing.
you'd think, but apparently it's not. Like I mean, maybe I just missed it, but like
I mean, I have no help. Like I'm just dipping my toes into servers at the moment, and it's scary. But also, I think I can. I think I can.
yeah, yeah, you'd think this is a solved problem, but I haven't seen a solution where I look at it and I'm like, yes,
Yes, this makes sense.
this is the thing, this is good.
Hmm.
Everything so far is, yeah, sure, yeah, this could work, but have you considered all of these downsides? So I'd appreciate any tips and tricks that you might have. Well, not necessarily you, but you listener, I guess.
Dear listener, I think we should cut
Yeah.
it there, even though I have like a ton of notes. We can,
I still
maybe we
have a
need to
lot
do
of notes as
every week now
well.
that we have AI to just like talk about all the
Yeah.
things we've done.
Maybe we can do more stuff in less time. Well, I guess we can. But yeah, let's wrap it up. We've been talking a lot.
Mhm.
So see you around on the interwebs.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.